Good evening. It's Tuesday, the 29th of July, and here's what's making news around the world on World News Tonight. Border truce. Thailand and Cambodia reach an immediate ceasefire after their deadliest border clashes in over a decade. War ultimatum. Trump shortens Russia's deadline to act on Ukraine peace talks within 10 to 12 days. Community tribute. Minnesota Neighbours celebrate beloved UPS driver with emotional send-off after 32 years of service.
From Colombo, this is World News Tonight with Selena Jayathilaka.
Good evening once again. A 5-day border war between Cambodia and Thailand, which killed at least 36 people and displaced over 300,000, has paused with an immediate and unconditional ceasefire brokered in Malaysia. US, China and ASEAN played key roles in ceasing hostilities.
Thailand and Cambodia shared a symbolic handshake after agreeing to a ceasefire in Malaysia on Monday. Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim announced an immediate and unconditional ceasefire effective midnight, in an effort to bring an end to the two countries' deadliest conflict in more than a decade after 5 days of fierce fighting.
This is a vital first step towards de-escalation and the restoration of peace and security.
Thailand and Cambodia accused each other of starting the fighting last week, before escalating it with heavy artillery bombardment and Thai airstrikes along their 508-mile land border. Anwar had proposed ceasefire talks soon after a long-running border dispute erupted into conflict on Thursday. China and the United States also offered to assist in negotiations. U.S. President Donald Trump said he called both leaders at the weekend.
And I said, we're not going to make a trade deal unless you settle the war.
The conflict has scarred border communities. More than 300,000 people have been displaced on both sides. At least 36 people have been killed, mostly civilians. Ahead of the ceasefire talks, thousands of Cambodians in Thailand were seen flocking into their home country. Despite having an agreement in place, some displaced Thai villagers are still skeptical of Cambodia's commitment. A 37-year-old taking refuge at the temporary shelter says she doesn't trust Cambodia. The Southeast Asian neighbors have wrangled for decades over border territory. The tension between the two intensified since the killing of a Cambodian soldier during a brief skirmish in late May. Both sides reinforced border troops amid the full-blown diplomatic crisis that brought Thailand's fragile coalition government to the brink of collapse.
At least 38 dead in northern China as heavy rains trigger severe flooding in Beijing and Hebei. Authorities have relocated 80,000 residents with power outages and road closures reported. President Xi orders intensified rescue efforts amid ongoing weather risks.
Northern China has been battered by days of heavy rainfall causing widespread flooding and significant devastation. Beijing has reported at least 30 deaths, while neighboring Hebei province confirmed 8 fatalities. The downpour forced the relocation of approximately 80,000 people across the capital as swollen rivers and overwhelmed drainage systems inundated homes and infrastructure. Despite the city officially ending its rainstorm alert today afternoon, meteorologists warned the further rainfall is expected, prolonging the threat of floods and complicating recovery efforts. The floods have disrupted daily life and critical services across the region. More than 130 villages have experienced power outages, severely affecting communication and emergency response capabilities. Numerous roads have been cut off due to water damage or debris, isolating communities and hindering relief operations. President Xi Jinping spoke yesterday and ordered an all-out search and rescue campaign to prevent additional loss of life. Authorities are mobilizing resources to provide shelter, medical aid, and restore essential infrastructure in the hardest-hit areas. This recent flooding follows a pattern of increasingly extreme weather events in China, linked to climate change, raising concerns about urban resilience and disaster preparedness. Beijing, a city with vast population and dense infrastructure, faces unique challenges managing sudden water surges. Officials are reviewing flood control systems and emergency protocols in the aftermath. With more rain forecasts and ongoing risks, authorities urge residents to remain vigilant. The disaster also underscores a growing need for sustainable urban planning and climate adaptation strategies to mitigate future flood risks.
Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto and Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim convened the first annual consultation since 2017 today in Jakarta. The closed bilateral session preceded Anwar's ASEAN Secretariat visit, underscoring Malaysia's role as ASEAN chair in promoting regional integration.
In a significant move to strengthen regional diplomacy, Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto and Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim held their first annual consultation since both leaders assumed office. The high-level bilateral meeting conducted today in Jakarta marks a revival of formal dialogue mechanisms between the two neighbours after a 7-year hiatus. The last such talks were held in 2017. While both governments kept the content of their closed-door discussions confidential, the meeting itself signalled a shared commitment to resetting relations, addressing bilateral policies, and enhancing cooperation across trade, security, and regional stability. This was Anwar Ibrahim's first official visit to Indonesia since becoming Malaysia Premier in 2022, and Prabowo's first as head of state following his inauguration earlier this year. As part of his 2-day working visit, Prime Minister Anwar also engaged with the ASEAN Secretariat located in Jakarta. There he met with ASEAN Secretary-General Dr. Kao Kim Hoon and reaffirmed Malaysia's commitment to strengthening the regional bloc's unity and long-term goals. Speaking in his role as ASEAN chair for 2025, Anwar emphasized the importance of deepening integration with Southeast Asian, particularly in areas such as digital connectivity, sustainable development, and collective responses to geopolitical challenges. His visit to the Secretariat also aligns with Malaysia's broader vision for ASEAN community that is not only economically integrated but also resilient and cohesive amid shifting global dynamics. The resumption of annual consultation and diplomatic outreach to ASEAN come at a crucial time for Southeast Asia, as regional powers navigate tensions in South China Sea, supply chain disruptions, and post-pandemic recovery. The alignment between Jakarta and Kuala Lumpur carries significant weight. Both leaders face domestic expectations to deliver an economic growth and regional leadership, and this consultation provides a strategic platform to align policies on cross-border issues such as labour migration, protection, and border security. While the lack of a public joint statement leaves questions about the immediate outcomes, the renewed engagement itself suggests a forward-looking approach to regional diplomacy anchored in mutual respect and pragmatic cooperation.
South Korean Foreign Minister Cho Hyun visited Japan today for a bilateral meeting with his Japanese counterpart Takeshi Iwaya, his first foreign trip since taking office. He then will head to Washington to meet U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
Foreign Minister Cho Hyun is set to visit Japan tomorrow for a bilateral meeting with his Japanese counterpart Takeshi Iwaya. This marks Cho's first foreign trip since taking office last week. Their talks are expected to focus on strengthening cooperation across a range of areas to improve bilateral ties, as the two countries this year mark their 60th anniversary of normalizing diplomatic relations. Following his one-night stay in Japan, Cho will head to Washington, D.C. to meet with the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Thursday local time. Prior to his confirmation hearing, Cho told reporters that it was time to move beyond the fixed notion that Seoul's diplomatic outreach must start with the U.S.
Let's go in for a short commercial break. More world news coming right after this. Welcome back. US President Donald Trump has issued a new 10 to 12-day deadline for Russia to make meaningful progress toward ending the war in Ukraine or face unspecified consequences, including sanctions and tariffs. Trump shortened an earlier 50-day time frame amid growing frustration over Putin's inaction.
U.S. President Donald Trump on Monday said he decided to give Vladimir Putin a shorter deadline to show Moscow was making an effort toward ending Russia's war in Ukraine.
So what is your new deadline? What
I'm going to make a new deadline of about 10 or 12 days from today. No reason in waiting. There's no reason in waiting. It's 50 days. I want to be generous, but we just don't see any progress being made.
Trump's remarks come as he met with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer in Scotland. He said he was disappointed in Putin's continued aggression against Kiev.
We thought we had that settled numerous times, and then President Putin goes out and starts launching rockets into some city like Kiev and kills a lot of people in a nursing home or whatever. You have bodies lying all over the street. And I say that's not the way to do it.
There was no immediate comment from the Kremlin. Ukraine welcomed the statement. President Volodymyr Zelensky's chief of staff thanked Trump in a social media post for, quote, standing firm and delivering a clear message of peace through strength. Trump, who has expressed annoyance with Zelensky, has not always followed tough talk about the Kremlin with action. He often cites what he deems a good relationship with Putin.
So, Vladimir, thank you very much.
Thank you. Trump made his initial threat on July 14th.
And we're going to be doing very severe tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days.
He said he would impose 100% secondary tariffs on countries that buy Russian exports unless Moscow agrees to a major peace deal with Ukraine. That 50-day deadline would expire in early September. The threat mirrored an announcement in March that the U.S. would slap tariffs on buyers of sanctioned Venezuelan oil. No such tariffs have been imposed since, and Venezuela's exports of oil have jumped.
President Trump has acknowledged real starvation in Gaza and pledged to establish unfenced U.S.-backed food centers to distribute aid freely. He criticized Israel's restrictions, vowed expanded humanitarian cooperation, and diverged sharply from Prime Minister Netanyahu's denial of famine conditions. This comes after the Israeli military announced daily pauses in Gaza fighting to ease the humanitarian crisis, allowing aid deliveries through secure corridors.
Speaking during a visit to Scotland on Monday, Trump said visual evidence convinced him that starvation in Gaza is real and pledged the creation of U.S.-backed food centers in coordination with European partners. Trump emphasized that the current aid infrastructure is deeply flawed, adding the U.S. would work with other countries to establish food centers without entry barriers, allowing civilians to access aid freely. According to the White House, additional details on the plan are forthcoming. Trump's remarks are in stark contrast with those of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who has denied that Gaza is facing starvation, saying Israel continues to allow significant amounts of humanitarian aid into the enclave.
Islamic State-linked rebels have claimed responsibility for a midnight attack on a church in Commanda, eastern DRC, that killed at least 43 worshippers, including women and children. The assault has drawn condemnation from the UN and sharply raised regional tensions.
Video obtained shows funeral proceedings on Monday for 24 churchgoers killed in an attack by a militant group in the Democratic Republic of Congo the previous day. The video shows volunteers load coffins onto vehicles, and grieving families lay garlands over the coffins in a shared grave. Responsibility for the assault was claimed by the Allied Democratic Forces, an Islamic State-affiliated militant group. The attackers claimed lives with guns and machetes, while also taking hostages. On its Telegram channel, the Islamic State said that rebels had killed some 45 churchgoers and burned dozens of homes and shops. The UN mission to the country condemned the attack and reported at least 43 deaths, including 19 women and 9 children. The ADF originates in neighboring Uganda, but is now based in mineral-rich eastern Congo. It mounts frequent attacks, further destabilizing a region where many militant groups compete for influence and resources. Pope Leo sent condolences and prayers on Monday to the families and Christian community affected by the assault.
AI-designed proteins show promise as next-generation antivenoms. A team at the University of Washington and Denmark's Technical University has created computer-designed binders targeting cobra neurotoxins. In early mouse studies, survival rates reached up to 100%.
Led by Nobel Prize winner biochemist David Beck at the University of Washington and medical biotechnologist Timothy Jenkins at the Technical University of Denmark, researchers use deep learning tools such as RF diffusion, protein MPNN, and AlphaFold to generate novel proteins that specifically bind three-finger toxins. These potent cobra neurotoxins were completely neutralized in vitro and provided full protection in mice, even when administered 15 to 30 minutes after exposure. Survival rates reach 80 to 100% depending on dosage and toxin type. Unlike traditional antivenoms produced via horse immunization with venom, these AI-designed binders can be mass-produced cheaply in bacteria or yeast. They also boasts greater thermal stability, eliminating cold chain storage, and smaller size allows for faster tissue penetration and effective binding. With potentially fewer side effects, this innovation could make antivenoms more practical in remote, low-resource regions where snakebite burden is highest. While results are promising, the binders currently neutralize only one subset of venom components. Full efficacy would likely require engineered cocktails targeting multiple toxin families. Researchers aim to move toward human clinical trials within the next few years. If successful, the technology could supplement and eventually transform current antivenoms, offering accessible therapies for millions annually affected by snakebite, especially in Africa, Asia, and Latin America.
Time for a short break now. We'll be right back with more world news. Welcome back. After 32 years of dedicated service, a Minnesota UPS driver received a heartfelt farewell from a family he had grown close to. They surprised him during his final delivery route, honoring his long and faithful career in the community.
Talk about a special delivery.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Oh, gosh.
Can I give you a hug?
That's Jim, a UPS driver who delivers more than just mail. The Withington family in Victoria, Minnesota, going all out to celebrate his final route after 32 years on the job.
They're not customers, they're more friends than anything.
Jim showered with love and gratitude on his last day.
It's hard to put into words.
A farewell package for someone who always delivered.
Thanks, everyone.
An 8-year-old Arizona Diamondback superfan Dalton DeMichele enjoyed an unforgettable night at Chase Field. Despite multiple procedures for a congenital heart defect, Dalton's dream came true when he met his favorite player, Corbin Carroll.
Hey, boys.
For 8-year-old Dalton DeMichele,
Here you go, buddy.
Thank you.
Chase Field, home of the Arizona Diamondbacks,
You having fun?
Yes.
is the real field of dreams.
Dream come true? Yes.
He's been trying to meet the team for years, but it was this video of Dalton watching the game, posted by his mom, Krista, that finally caught their attention.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like it worked. It really worked.
Play ball!
It meant the world to me. I thought he was going to be standing there maybe with a ball and a pen and that they would sign and then be on their merry ways, but he spent quality time with these guys.
For Dalton, it wasn't always easy. He survived 3 open heart surgeries after he was born with a rare condition known as hypoplastic left heart syndrome. But now, he's thriving.
That's you.
Mm-hmm.
Could you sign it for me?
Yes.
Dalton didn't just get autographs, he gave them as he handed out his own baseball card.
What's up, Dalton? How are you?
Hi, I'm good.
But it was this moment, meeting his hero, right fielder Corbin Carroll,
Are you happy?
that moved Dalton and Krista to tears.
Happy tears, right? Happy tears.
Just to be able to do something special for him, it meant a lot. It was a great reminder of kind of the power that we can have as athletes and the lives that we can touch.
Dalton's story spotlighting his condition and in return, love and support from so many.
And with that, we come to the end of today's edition of World News Tonight. With the hopes of seeing you again, I'm Selena Jaitilaka, and we leave you tonight with the visuals of fantasy figures coming alive at Comic-Con cosplay. Also, don't forget to send us your feedback through email at feedback.ad24english@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. Prashansa Gunavardhana will be joining you next with the Nightly Business Report. Thank you for watching and have a great night.